guys, so today we are going to do another mod on the trailer. We're going to turn our dinette that we swapped out the table on into a dinette slash bike rack for my mountain bike and Shelly's e-bike. So stick around with us, we'll show you how it goes and show you all the bits and pieces and parts and tools that you need to do it. Alright, so first things first, we're going to take all the cushions off, move the table out of the way, and if this plays out the way I think it's going to, the table and everything can go right back in there while the bikes are being hauled around. So let's do that part and then we'll get started with all of our measurements. And then we'll just push this table over out of the way. If you didn't see our mod on the table, check out the video, I don't know, what's it been, a month or so ago, where we swapped out the legs on this table. Game changer, guys. Go check it out. And then I'll be back with measurements in a couple of minutes. Alright guys, so we ordered these off of Amazon. We'll put a link in the description box. But these are essentially just forked bike mounts for any bike rack. I already got this one opened up. So essentially you take your front tire off with the quick disconnect and this replaces it. So we're going to mount this to some scrap 2x4s that we have that will mount to the plywood underneath of the dinette that you sit on. And then when we're not using a bike rack, it'll just flip back upside down. The cushions will go right back on top of it. So let's get the front tire off of Shelly K's bike because it's the shortest. We'll get it inside, figure out exactly right where it needs to be, and we'll get all of our measurements and get started. Alright, so it should be pretty easy if you have quick disconnects on your bicycle, your front tire. You should just have to flip this little lever over here. Loosen this screw up a little bit. Lift up. Should pop right off of there. Not loose enough yet. Get that screw loose. Tire comes right off. And then that bracket mount right to those front forks. So let's take this one inside and we'll get her started. So the reason we decided to do this mod and not just use a regular bike rack in the back, kind of two reasons. One, we're upgrading our bikes to electric bikes. We want to keep them out of the weather. And two, when we were out west, the bike rack that we had, with the bounce of the trailer, the bikes got bounced around out in the fields and stuff when we were on BLM land, and one of the handlebars actually put a hole in the back of our trailer. So with them being mounted in here, it keeps them clean, it keeps them dry, and hopefully it'll keep the holes out of the back of my trailer. So let's set this bad boy up here and we'll get this party started. So the plan is to be able to mount this thing to where it'll sit and not hit any of our stuff. So let's find a good spot for it. So maybe right there is a good place. And then this one. So actually this is not right. We want to spin this one around. We have two bikes. So the handlebars, mine, Shelly's will be on the inside, mine will be out here on the outside. So my handlebars, I want mine to be up here at this end so the slide doesn't come in and hit them. Right? So we're going to spin hers around and put it this way. That way the two sets of handlebars aren't hitting each other when they're in here in the rack. This one is 62 pounds is how much this one weighs. So that seems like a pretty good spot for hers. I think it'll sit just right there. So let me go out and grab one of the brackets. I'll get it marked on here and we'll get it set up and have this one set. So the forks are gonna sit right down, these brackets are gonna sit right down inside of this one. So let's pick this old girl up. And we'll just get it set on there where it needs to be. So that's where that needs to go. And this should twist and lock it on there nice and tight. So I think that's a pretty good spot for hers. Keeps it away from the window. And that oughta, you got some mud on your handlebars. Whoopsie. Alright, so I think that's a pretty good spot for hers. Now what we're gonna do is mount this bracket to a 2x4 and then mount the 2x4 to the plywood. That way the screws aren't poking through this little thin piece of plywood and sticking up through your butt, through your cushion. So I'm gonna go move this backwards a little bit, see where my crossbar is in here. I'll make a line on there about where I want it. We'll get it mounted and see how this one works out. All right, so this cross member under here, we don't want that to hit our 2x4 when we flip these boards over, because the piece that the bracket's going to be connected to, when we flip it upside down, that bracket will go down into the storage area. When we flip it back up, then the bracket will be up so we can mount the bike to it. So we just got to make sure that our 2x4 that we're mounting to this doesn't hit this cross member right here. So we know the cross member is at 20 inches from the back wall. So this is the side that will be up when we are sitting on it as a cushion. So let's flip it over and put it back in here right where it goes. And we know that the 2x4 can't come any more than 20 inches from the back wall. So we're just gonna make a mark there at about 20 inches. And we know we wanna go on that side of it. So let's set our bicycle back up here and figure out exactly where we want the 2x4. And that's gonna be just about right. We're off the back window by a couple of inches. We don't have to worry about that hitting. So we're gonna pick our 2x4 to about right there. And then we want it to go to about right there-ish and right there-ish, because your 2x4 is 3.5 inches wide. And we're gonna run it back to about that long. Scientific measurements right there. All right, so we got the bike off of there. We got the bracket off of the bike. We know that the handle needs to go toward this side, just like that, so we can get to the little tightener widget. Let's take this board outside. We'll cut our 2x4, get it mounted on there, and we'll be set to go. All right, so we said we wanted our 2x4 about yay long. So let's get a yay measurement. Let's just call that a foot. It's close enough. So let me go grab a couple more tools and then we'll cut this 2x4. All right, so let's just start with a square end here on our 2x4. We'll use our handy dandy cordless circular saw. See if we can get all these cut on this one board, or on this one battery. So we needed a 12-inch 2x4. We'll get this one cut. So these are 1.5 inches thick. This is 1/2 inch plywood. So we can get away with 2-inch screws, but we don't want to push it and have it coming through the bottom of our seat cushion. So what we're going to do is get a straight line. So we want that right about 4 inches. So let's flip this guy over, get it set up, and we'll get her screwed down. We know that the 2x4 is 4 inches in on here, so let's make a mark at 4 inches. That 2x4 should be screwed down, just like so. And then this will mount right to that guy like that, and then your bike will go right into it. But before we mount this on here, let's take the board back inside. We'll put it onto the deck and then figure out exactly where the bike's gonna go. And we'll mount this down with the 3 screws that'll hold the bracket down for us. And hopefully the heads of these screws, don't go through. Nice. All right, so the 2x4 is mounted. Let's put this on upside down just to make sure that we don't hit the 2x4 on that cross member, to make sure we measured it just right. If we're right, there we go, right back where it belongs. Ta-da! Perfect. Let's put the bicycle back up on here, mark exactly where we want our bracket, and we'll be good to go. All right, so it looks like that's gonna be just about perfect where it sits. So we'll just put the bracket about 1 inch or so away from the edge, and she'll be good to go. All right, so that's about the right spot. 3 more 1 1/4 inch screws. Get these other 2 screws in here. That ought to do it. All right, so let's sit the bike up onto the bracket. We'll tighten it down, make sure it fits just nice and snug where we want it. And this one should be good to go for the front bracket. Tighten up the screw. It's a little hard to get to with the fender on this bicycle, but then we screw that guy shut. It does have a little bit more movement than what I expected it to. I'm gonna cut a notch in this board right here to run a nylon strap through, just to hold the back tire down with a plastic buckle on it, just so we know none of that stuff moves around. Yeah, because my back tire, I believe, will sit on this board, on this side of it. So hopefully that kind of helps counteract it. But before we cut this notch in, let's go get the front tire off of the other bike and see how it's going to fit in here for the second bike. Same thing on this one. We're just going to take the front tire off. We'll take the bike inside, see where everything sits. We already know we need a 12-inch board-ish for a 2x4, and we'll just figure out right where it's going to fit. Now, my bike's a little lighter than Shelly's is, so it'll be a little easier to move around. Interesting. Mine's not long enough. All right, guys, so we came up with a plan here. The dinette is too long for my bike to be able to reach front tire to back tire, so the tire is going to have to sit on the kitchen table while it's down. But I think that's going to be okay. We're just going to put a towel underneath of it, and then I've got some nylon straps where we'll be able to strap the back tire down to be able to, or to keep it from moving around. So let's do the same thing on this side. We'll get the bracket on there for the forks of my bike, and then we'll figure out exactly where we want the back tires to sit, and we'll get those notched out. So pretty much the same process. We'll just throw the bicycle up there and see right where we want the bracket. I feel like that's a pretty good spot right there. So let's go cut ourselves another 2x4. We'll get it mounted on there, and then we'll figure out how to strap them all down. Let's make another 12-inch 2x4, and we'll get this one going. See if our saw's got enough juice in it for one more cut. No problem. So we said we wanted that about there. All right, same thing. Let's get this 2x4 mounted on there. Boom. All right, let's go get her mounted. Guess what? I left the other bracket outside. I'll be right back. I'm back. All right, and on this one, this little bracket on the outside so we can get to it to twist it. Let's throw the bike up there and see exactly where we want it. I feel like right about center would be just right. Same thing on this one, guys. We're just gonna kind of get it in the center of the 2x4 there so it gets a good bite with these screws. Nice and tight. There you go. So let's take this here bicycle. And of course the little widget's not loose enough. Just like so. Tighten up the screw. Through the lever like that. And there we go. That one's mounted down tight. So now all we got to do is figure out how to put the nylon straps through here to hold the back of the bikes down. And I want to take a little bit of the wobble out of Shelly's bike because it is a little bit heavier. So we'll work something out with that. I'll let you know what we figure out. All right, so we also got this packet of, I think it's 1-inch nylon webbing. It's got a bunch of buckles and stuff in it. It's forever long. We'll never use this much of it, but we also get it off Amazon. But I think this is going to be plenty strong enough to hold what we're trying to do. So Henson Tech, or however it is that you say it, the nylon webbing. But we'll show you what we come up with down here to strap these things down, and that should be the end of this one. So it'll be an easy way to keep your bikes in out of the rain. All right. So came up with a game plan. So what I did was, you see it on this one, I cut a couple of notches in here where her back tire is going to sit. And just ran that nylon strapping through it. And I did the same thing on this one by where my back tire is going to sit, but a little bit further in. And I'll show you how that's going to work out here. And then let's put the bikes back up there. Figure out where the brackets are going to go for the nylon straps. We'll get them all buckled down, and then we'll see how much bounce we got in this other side. So one more time, put these bikes up here. This strap should just come through with one of these here sets of buckles. And it came with a bunch of different buckles, so we should have plenty of buckles to get everything just where we want it. Then I forget which direction I did the other one. I don't have to worry about the back tire moving around. And when you're done, you just unlatch it. So that one worked out real nice. Just like so. Get another buckle here. Like so. This side on here. Like so. We will want to burn the ends of these so they don't fray all the time. Slide that down there. Not going anywhere. I feel like that might have made that one worse. All right, guys, so we found something I don't like. There's still too much play in this plywood down here with the e-bike back there because it's extra heavy, so it moves around a lot. So we're going to remove that 12-inch 2x4, and we're going to put one in the whole length of the piece of plywood and use that 2x4 to keep the flex out of the plywood. So I'm going to swap that out real quick with one that fits in there, and then we should be set to go. So stick around, I'll let you know if it works. And we need to put the bracket back on. So once again, let's pick the bike up. We're gonna put the bracket right back there, like that. Now let's put it on there, see if that gets rid of all the wiggle. Oh, a little too tight that time. All right, let's see if that makes all the difference in the world. Ready? That's way better. I am happy with that. Yeah, and that one's not going nowhere. The back strap on it or anything. So that turns your dinette into a bike rack and a coffee table and a kitchen island and everything else that you can use it for. All right, so I haven't got a chance to look at the video yet because we recorded what the bikes did on the trip down here, but from the looks of it, looks like it's going to work out pretty solid. So I'll add some video from the GoPro from when we were driving down here, kind of nap, and we'll show you guys how it worked out. And if you like it, great. If you think it's not so great, let us know.